been having rainy days lately, although Greece is renowned for its sunny and warm weather, especially at this time of the year. But unfortunately, it's been like 1 week of heat waves and another week of rainfall. So much better.
Years ago, I visited Greece, and Helen and myself, we went to a Greek island. Oh,
That was so beautiful, yes.
thank you so much, friend. Great job. So pleased.
Thank you, Fran.
Would it be okay if just for getting to know each other? Because some of you I don't know as of yet, and some of you seem to be my friends. If you could drop in the text chat a little bit of an introduction about yourself, that shouldn't go on the live stream. It shouldn't be in voice. Just for us to get a very brief, sort of 3 words or very one-liner.
It looks like it's the top of the hour, so let's get started with our expert series for today. Welcome everyone to our VWEC Metaverse Expert Series presented by the Virtual Worlds Education Consortium. For those of you who are new, our website is vweconsortium.org. And I'll drop some social media links here in the chat on Linktree. Also, right in front of me, you should see a plant. You can zoom in on it. And that plant has a survey about communication with VWEC. So feel free to click on the plant so you can participate. After our presentation today, we will move to the deck for a social time for those who want to stay. I am happy to introduce our Metaverse expert speakers to you today, Friday, May 10th, 2024. Heike Philp is CEO of Let's Talk Online, an immersive language education specialist. She's the co-initiator of EU-funded LANCELOT, a virtual classroom, AVALON Virtual World, CAMELOT Machinima, GUINEVERE 3D games, and EXCALIBUR 3D building projects. Founder of the VRT Conference, DaFWEBKON, and co-owns EduNation in Second Life and OpenSim. Helena Galani studied at Cambridge and the University of Nottingham. She's accredited in online immersive teaching English to speakers of other languages, that's TESOL, and English for academic purposes, EAP, educator, and assessor. She blends and flips her classes in immersive virtual worlds, VR, and AI combined with learning management systems and educational tools. Helena has taught and trained EFL teachers for Indire, Edmondo, and as a lead moderator for EVO. She trains language teachers to use VR, artificial intelligence, and virtual worlds with transmedia storytelling, games, interactive scenarios. Helena also offers her expertise at edtechtools.com. With a keen interest in immersive instructional design, she's an EduNation resident and owns ELT Treasure Island in Kitely. As CAMELOT Award winner and presenter at the Virtual World's Best Practices in Education Conference, VRT Web Conference, EdTech Tools Fest, and other conferences, she supports the value of the Metaverse, AI, and VR virtual worlds, and video machinima for language education. Helena is Arlena Azure in Second Life, and there's a link to her website. So ladies and gentlemen, I will now turn the mic over to our presenters for today. Take it away, Heike and Helena.
Thank you ever so much, Val. And I'm going
Thank
to
you,
pass
Val.
the word over to Helena. Helena, who has been the lead moderator of the very session that we wanted to talk about, namely Immersive Instructional Design in the Metaverse, which was a workshop in January, February, and she's going to talk to you about what the workshop was all about and the participants and what we did. Over to you, Helena.
Thank you very much, Valerie, and thank you very much, Heike. It has been great pleasure working with Heike for many years now, during which we have developed a very strong professional and relationship, and a very strong friendship too. Let me brief you about my latest experience as lead moderator for Immersive Instructional Design for Electronic Village Online, which started in January, or actually on the 18th of January, and went on up until the 18th of February 2024. We presented the results of this session in March 2024, on the 16th actually, at the International TESOL Best of Evo conference online. And we are here to tell you a little bit about this experience. First of all, let me briefly say that that particular series of sessions lasted 5 weeks, during which we presented a different destination in the metaverse. The educators, the teachers that took part in that session or series of workshops focused on a different virtual reality or virtual world destination every week, such as frameVR, Spatial IO, Engage, and a lot of activity also took place on Second Life. And in the final week, we showcased the participants' projects and we evaluated the actual session. Well, the objective of the session was for the participants to be informed about basic principles on immersive instructional design, to explore and to play with certain environments, to select objects, to demonstrate. Actually, the moderators demonstrated the construction of objects and useful material in the particular metaverse destinations. So by the end of the sessions, which was actually in February, the participants were able to produce their own products, which I'm going to show you in a minute. During the first session, the teachers were involved in orientation, analyzing, designing, developing, and implementing principles of immersive instructional design in different environments, as we said earlier. And during the second week, the second session every week, they implemented their knowledge, their newly acquired knowledge and skills, and demonstrated their creations of objects. So it was like a hands-on building session. It was an opportunity to create. You can see some of the products that our participants created. You can also use the QR codes. Please feel free to use the QR code to access the book creator, in which we've actually put together a lot of the participants' creations. As you will see for yourselves, they were very creative and the learning outcomes were amazing in all of these platforms. We had the opportunity to share with them their ideas about how they will construct their lessons, how they will take place, what particular processes are involved. It was an amazing experience. My other experience, which was quite recent, was, as we said earlier, with the Virtual World's Best Practices in Education conference, online conference, in March, the 24th of March, during which I prepared a quest around EduNation 3, designing immersive lessons in virtual reality and virtual worlds lowers the affective filter and it can accelerate language acquisition. So through a very playful approach, our participants show for themselves the affordances that can be used, including artificial intelligence bots, chatbots, that were spread around EduNation, which gave hints to the participants, or tourists as you can call them, in order to find the treasure. This is a typical example of how artificial intelligence in Second Life can promote teaching aims in a TESOL class. TESOL stands for Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. You can use the QR code for the slides, so please feel free to do so. And our participants also uploaded their own snapshots from this exciting experience that they had on this quest. So they put their slides, their actual snapshots on this Padlet. Yes, Heike, that is true. It is the results of the workshop that took place in January and February this year. Now, as for the experience with the quest presenting an adventure around EduNation, the participants had to cope with different creatures, including a dragon, which was actually very fierce, but still gave them clues in order to proceed and find the hidden treasure. Our next experience is what Heike is going to present for you, and there's a lot to say about the first EdTech Tools Fest, which took place on the 27th of April, just a few days ago. Heike, please share your experience about EdTech tools.
Thank you so much, Helena. And I have to still say about the EVO sessions that we ran in January, February, which we've been doing now for many, many years. It's been, I think, nearly 20 years that we're part of this global English teacher free workshop that collects something like 2,000, 300,000, maybe 4,000 English teachers every year to join some 14, 15 sessions. It was this year. Some of you might know Pioneer Destiny, Dr. Doris Molero, who's the recipient of the Thinker Award. She ran her own EVO session this year on AI and EFL. EFL stands for English as a Foreign Language, so using artificial intelligence in English language teaching and learning. these sessions are for us always a big highlight because our own training camp, our own boot camp, what we call it, because we not only run a course, but we also co-develop with the participants expertise that we've not had before. And in this case, we've been venturing out into various VR worlds and virtual worlds like frameVR, Spatial, and engage and find that participants are much like it's a lot easier for them to start building, a lot easier for them to import 3D objects, etc. So it's been a joy to do that. Since we did that, and this was actually the invitation to present these results here, since then we've had quite a few developments in virtual worlds, and also, as you know from Linden Lab and last session, Darcy Linden's presentation on AI, also in our language learning field, AI has skyrocketed with so many tools that have come in. Language obviously is our business, and large language models and chatbots and the affordances of ChatGPT are just tremendous in the language learning field. And so we have been very busy in trying to cope with that influx of new technologies and trying to make sense of it in our classrooms, and trying to also help our students to make sense of it, who are adopting these tools left, right, and center, and using them for translations, they're using them for generations of text, etc. So this is why we conducted EdTech Tools. Sorry to make that long turn round, because the bridging virtual worlds and that which is our passion, which we've been doing for 15, 20 years, bridging that with AI has been a roller coaster, really. And it's also been a little bit frustrating for us, thinking that why is everybody talking about AI now when we want to really be continuing to use virtual worlds? Yeah, for some reason, suddenly we're out again. So that really got me kind of cross in many respects, these discussions. And this is why I invited a couple of people to a panel discussion saying, you know, how can we bridge AI and virtual worlds also in the awareness of our audience? So this is in EdTech Tools that was possible, and I love that. EdTech Tools is actually the continuation of the annual Virtual Roundtable Web Conference, which I've been running since 2009. And we called it EdTech Tools now because of a new project that we've been engaged in and starting to create videos, video courses on EdTech Tools in general. So this is what, so next slide. This is what EdTech Tools all about. It took place last week, week before, sorry, 2 weeks ago, and on a Saturday, and we had as guests for our panel discussion. I'm going to drop the slide.
Is that okay? Is this the one you're looking for? Yeah.
Excellent. Yes, we had as our guests Leah Lobo and Spinoza Quinelli and Kaylee West, who joined us all on EduNation for a panel discussion saying AI in virtual worlds beyond the headline. Beyond the headline, because nobody's talking about virtual worlds anymore. So, and trying to see how to incorporate this subject. And we had Kaylee West, Dr. Scott Grant from Monash University join the panel discussion, who's been experimenting a lot with importing, with using AI in teaching Chinese. And it was so interesting to listen to these three conversing about how, of course, in Second Life, we've been using Pandora bots like for donkey's years, and AI is not new. But what is new and also interesting is the use of voice text-to-speech when having a chatbot who's been fed with AI components like ChatGPT, of which Helena demonstrated to us on how to do it incredibly. And interestingly, also a little bit of a discussion of having to pay for tokens so that the chatbot has a memory, yeah, so that the chatbot understands the very phrase, well, my father is an engineer. What about yours? And that sentence, what about yours, so far has not been able to be responded well to in a conversation by other bots and even by ChatGPT, because the memory is, missing. So it was really, really interesting, and I hope you have a look. You listen to this panel discussion. It's on YouTube, obviously been recorded. And with that, also pass over to Helena for her to explain about her amazing session in showing us how to create an API key on the platform of OpenAI and how to import that API key into a ready-made chatbot in Second Life. Over to you, Helena.
Thank you,
It's
Heike.
slide 10. Do you want to take
First,
that one?
before I move on to my own presentation for EdTech tools, I would like to say how exciting it was to hear Lear, Cynthia, Andy, and Scott, Kaylee talk about their own perspective of using AI and obviously their experience. It's been a long-term, their long-term presence adds to the whole festival that we presented on that day in April. And now, as far as my own, sorry about this, as far as my own presentation for EdTech Tools Fest, it focused on demystifying OpenAI API keys to create non-player characters in Second Life, in particular, to enhance the TESOL experience. It was a highlight for me to use OpenAI because I find it very practical, very friendly, very user-friendly. Apart from the fact that it actually costs a little, but still, it's really worth the effort. My students find it entertaining, inspiring, creative, completely extraordinary. Um, Incorporating API keys holds immense potential for enhancing the teaching of language skills among learners. I presented the steps taken to harness the powers of OpenAI API keys in the English language classroom and to create opportunities for language generation in an English class. Another focal point of my presentation was the suggested top-down or holistic approach to use in order to promote learners' discourse skills. You can find the presentation slides if you scan the actual QR code on the left. And thank you very much, Heike, for pasting the link to the YouTube recording. You can find it over there. What is most exciting about using OpenAI API keys for NPCs and bots in Second Life is the fact that it involves the learner, it stimulates the learner to produce so much language in any channel, written or oral, in order to modify the behavior, the role, the character, the characteristics, the style, the register that the bot uses. You can just use any NPC or even a box if you build a box, and this is particularly exciting and extraordinary, as I said earlier. Now, another presence which is worth
Helena, we stopped hearing that.
Oh, sorry, my microphone went off. I'm sorry, it goes off automatically sometimes. I don't know if you've.
Stopped. It was worse. Something that
It
was the
is worth
last.
pointing out, yeah, I was saying that it is worth pointing out another significant event during the festival. Uh, the presentation, the actual workshop by Dr. Doris Molero on role-playing with AI, language text games. Doris, Doris's purpose was to introduce English teachers to role-playing with artificial intelligence as a new and innovative method of language learning. Participants during this workshop learned how to use AI systems as conversation partners and guides in text-based or voice-based adventure games. Participants explored different scenarios and themes that can be adapted to different levels and interests of their students, and they also explored how to evaluate the effectiveness and appropriateness of role playing with artificial intelligence for their teaching goals and needs. The edtech tools that Doris uh, used for this particular workshop were ChatGPT, Pi, Gemini, Mizu, and Book Creator. You can find her the recording of her presentation here on this link. Let me paste it. Here it is. It is very exciting what you can do with all these technologies, really. And
It's been an eye opener also. Yeah, at EdTech Tools Fest, there was a couple of more presentations that really stunned me. One of which was bringing history to life, sort of bringing dead people to life by using InVideo, an AI tool that was actually fed with the character of some historical figures, who then seemed to speak to you in real time, sort of using voice and telling you the history, the historical background, the winning situations and in conquests in that age when there was there. That was very, very impressive. And another one that totally struck me as well was a candid report by a language teacher who took over in a new school an unruly class of kids and turned to Pi. In this case, it was Pi for consultation initially, for helping her to cope with unruly kids, to eventually find out that months later she was talking so regularly to an artificial intelligence that this artificial intelligence became a close companion, and she felt lonely not talking to that person, kind of became addicted. Now, whilst that is a little bit scary to listen to, that people can get addicted to talking to chatbots, it also holds immense opportunity for our learners, because they do need a partner to talk to, and they best have somebody to talk to whom they get really addicted to talking to. Yeah, out of loneliness, out of the wish for a companion or an intelligent counterpart, um, somebody to bounce off ideas. Question, Shiloh, go ahead. We're actually at the end of our presentation. We
Okay.
tried.
All right, Heike, this is lengthy, but let me put it in because a lot of questions came to mind.
Lovely.
It's many parts, so you dissect it, okay? The first off would be, how effective would you say this program would be for learning, let's say, Japanese, which has a lot of intonation, or any indigenous language, let's say Navajo, which, like Japanese, is based on, a lot of intonation, or any Native African languages, Australian, New Zealander native languages. how effective would this be in language survival?
Helena, do you want to pick this one up?
Yes, sure. If you're Shiloh, if you're referring to artificial intelligence in virtual worlds in particular, any kind of effort can help the survival, the promotion of languages that are threatened with extinction, if you can use this term. I'm not suggesting that Japanese is threatened with extinction, but I think that this particular channel promotes the spread of languages, not only teaching and learning, but uh, also acquiring more speakers of the language. So it also facilitates the educators' approach and efforts to put the message across, to not only teach the language as such strictly through grammar rules, but in actual depth you teach the language in use in a very inventive, innovative way. And I think this is what younger students are particularly enthusiastic about. They combine their own everyday skill, which is the use of technology, of these technologies for their own entertainment, but in the classroom, they combine it, whatever form the classroom may have. I mean, um, online, face-to-face, synchronously. So they combine different skills, and this is particularly memorable, I think. Also, let's not forget the affective factor. Uh, the more enthusiastic the learner is, the more likely they are to memorize and to remember features, linguistic features. I don't know if I've covered your question,
No, it
Shiloh.
does. It does. Have you reached out to some of the school systems to integrate it? Because, I'm here in New Mexico, and I know that um, the complaints of many of the older generation is that younger Spanish-speaking children don't speak Spanish fluently. I know it's very similar on the Navajo reservation that they're finding that the youngest generation are not speaking fluent Navajo.
Mhm.
And, and in the past, coming from anthropology, right, that there was always an apprehension to document indigenous languages, and that might be global, but I'm just referring to in the United States, okay? And now, with the threat of languages that are dying out or the generations not having the full comprehension of the language, this would be a very excellent tool to integrate into school systems. Have you reached out and tried to integrate it?
Well, my actual specialty is English language teaching, so I do not have any data on the effectiveness of such learning programs. I mean, yeah, obviously there's been a lot of new development, and artificial intelligence has started entering education too. It may take a while until the formal educational systems globally get up to date and have their teachers trained in order to be able to use these technologies. But obviously, any such effort contributes to the spread of more rare languages, which we should not actually um, put aside. Quite the opposite. We should encourage their spread.
Just try and explain what is so different now with AI conversations, because we have been asking our systems on a regular basis, trying to get information. So if I say I would like to bake a cake, so how will I bake a cake? So I go to Google and put in I would like to bake a cake. Yeah. And then I get all of the information because I asked the question. Now, with an AI conversation partner, and this is like what we found so intriguing, is for the first time ever, this AI conversation partner, being Pi or being a ChatGPT and what have you, they ask questions back. Have you encountered that? You know, they do actually come back with questions. And this is what a teacher does in class in order to encourage the students to converse. Is a teacher asks questions. They never answer. And it was so funny because I went to, like, some time ago, I already went to big learning technology conferences and exhibitions and kept inquiring, when can I get a chatbot that asks me a question and corrects my answer? That is the key. And even that is possible now with Pi. I'm experimenting with this with private people as well myself, and see how well they get on with finding that. Yeah, very cool. It's so good. And exposure to language is the key to learning language.
Well, I'm
Pioneer is
curious.
here.
Something.
Woohoo!
Well,
Pioneer,
both
come
of
on
you are,
stage.
no, Heike, are both of you German speaking to begin with?
No, I'm German speaking, but Helena is Greek speaking.
Greek speaking, okay. So when you're working on a program for English as a second language,
I'm
give you a
sorry, I
lot of
have
credit because it
correction.
must be difficult. You have to translate that in your mind ahead of time to know what to ask AI in English, correct? So that you get what you hope is an accurate response.
I do not translate. I'm actually bilingual.
Ah,
I was raised in an English speaking environment, so I don't have to do this translation in my mind. It's automatic. It's like I can fluently use both languages. And yes, Pioneer is here. Hi, Pioneer. It's great to see you here. Talking about what I would like to expand a little bit on Heike's comment, if you don't mind, which I find extraordinary. I mean, it's so. I was amazed to see how responsive my bots are, my AI bots are in Second Life. Um, in terms of humor, for example, or character definition. When I type the prompt for my bots, they respond so accurately to the instructions I give them that I'm amazed completely. For example, when I give the prompt, you are a fierce dragon, you want to exterminate all the people, all the avatars on this island, you want to prevent everybody from finding the treasure, you will be amazed how fierce the dragon can be. It's amazing. The script, the kind of technical specifications behind this program are amazing, and this is why I believe that it can spread, it can catch on very easily. One could also easily confuse human human communication with AI communication.
Can I also ask the audience, how many of you have been actually trying to learn a language, and how many of you have been wishing for a bit of a reform in the language learning, say, training mechanisms that you find at schools or in textbooks or in wherever you encounter sort of formalistic kind of language instruction? Because I think we have been. Oh, yep, thank you very much. Please share your experience, everyone, in text chat. I'm going to read out loud your comments for the live stream, because we in the English language, in this trade, we've been long wanting to have reforms. long wanting to have some form of an attempt of breaking these routines of going through textbooks in a very methodological way to start with, I am well, how are you? Whereas sometimes you ask the sentences or you talk about yesterday, not in the third year of you learning the language, but also like straight away. So grammar. Yeah, Pioneer says about writing prompts. You can actually get ChatGPT to help you with writing prompts as well. What is also so wonderful with regards to AI conversations is now I can just simply tell ChatGPT, say, look, I am a teacher. I would like you to create a text for my learner. And my learner has the A1 level of English. Can you write a 200-word paragraph on the subject on how to fry eggs in a pan? Yeah, as simple as that. And this text comes up, and so I'm going to give this text to my learner and say, look, can you just retell that story on how to create a breakfast? I'm looking at the chat. Sorry. Keep going, everyone. Supernova says, I'd like to have an AI conversation companion to improve my speaking skill without a fear that it will record all of our conversations somewhere. Very good point. This fear is there everywhere. But what about the purpose, the very purpose of learning a language? What do you think? Can AI really help us?
May I add something here about the issue of errors? When I have students having a lesson in Second Life or in any other
Sorry, Helena, your mic's gone off again.
so sorry about that. I don't know why it happens.
We heard you
So
saying issues with if I have my learners
it,
have issues with.
when my learners have lessons in World, in Second Life or other similar virtual destinations, they are not intimidated by errors. They are not so conscious of the mistakes that they make. In actual fact, they're more interested in putting their message across and completing the task with or without mistakes. Error correction is not immediate. Otherwise, it sort of spoils the purpose of the lesson in a virtual environment. Error correction can take place at another point in a different method, but carrying out the task in world is the purpose. And one forgets about the idea of mistakes if they have to converse with a dragon, for example, or with a captain on that quest that I showed you. Yes, fluency over accuracy, depending on the lesson aims, of course. It does make a difference. Yeah. As I also explained in the first EdTech Tools Fest during my presentation, that we promote learners discourse skills based on a top-down, holistic approach, which is focused on social relationship, shared knowledge, and not so much on accuracy, grammar, structure, detail. Yes, we're interested in conversational mechanisms sometimes, depending on the lesson aims. But as I said earlier, it is the completion of the task that matters. And I'm very glad for artificial intelligence in
Lovely question by Shiloh as well. Has AI been sensitive with subtleties of a language? What do you think? And Fiona, please chime in.
Okay, so what can I say? I mean, the best of AI is that is a bot, and you can make mistakes or not. And if you make a mistake, if you have prompted properly the bot, you will correct. If you know, if you want feedback. But if you just want to explore and learn and practice and discover, that's what I tell my students, you know, when they are facing something that they don't know. And I say, well, this is to practice, this is not an exam. Okay, so what I want you to do is to learn how to learn by yourself. Okay, by looking at words and discovering them. And so bots are great for this. And my experience working with this kind of activities, I do a lot of games with students. So prompting is really important, because in the best way you prompt, the best way the bot give you good results. But at the same time, it's also a way to imitate a natural conversation, because when you are having a conversation, sometimes you don't understand something, and then you have to ask a question and say, can you explain that again? Can you say that in simple words? Okay, so that's what I teach my students, these kind of ways to communicate with the bot. So this is something really new, and I think there is much more to learn about this, but so far it is working really well.
And here we have a question from Magua. AI helps us with language learning, but at the same time, it helps too much and makes it too easy for learners. And then would it be a tool in the future that the learners not need to learn because it does the trick for them? So, very good point. If we rely on these tools, then will we still have to learn a language? What do you think? Helena, do you want to speak? Is your mic on?
Well, this is where the teacher comes in. That's why we say that we're not going to do away with the educator, because there's this new feature around. And I've heard Darcy Linden's presentation, but also I also saw a tweet by Philip on Twitter suggesting what the dangers are involving the presence of artificial intelligence. Um, Actually, it is an educational application, it is an educational tool in the hands of a human being that will serve the purposes of promoting knowledge, skills, and it does help acquire a language given the right instructions. And it depends, of course, on the type of artificial intelligence tool we talk about. If it's a chatbot, if it's an NPC, then it will definitely receive instructions from human beings. So it can be a useful tool in the future. It has already started becoming one.
In TechStat, it's been debated at the moment how good translations are. And Val has a great point. She says, for art and for writing, I want my students to have their own voice and their own style. We do not want them to outsource their creativity, but I totally see that AI might help with language.
Yes, it does. It can help with language simply because it creates yet another opportunity for the student to produce the language. I mean, I am only focusing on languages because this is my subject, obviously.
I would like to add that what I have noticed is that now my students feel that they are braver and they can go farther. I got basic level students now blogging, and I remember blogging a long time ago, and it was very difficult for them to, because they were all worried that, they're going to make a lot of mistakes, and you had to go and check on all that, and you don't have sometimes the time for that. So what they do is that they write drafts, and then I say, okay, we got this prompt that will help you correct, make sure that you are doing, but you had to start writing your own a, a paragraph, if you are working on a paragraph. And then with the help of AI, you can, I'm not an specialist in literature. I'm just a language teacher, So if we can get a start, then feeling brave to start speaking, that's the most difficult part for language learners, to be brave enough to start talking. It takes a long time for them to start talking. So this is something like my students now feel like, okay, I can go check. They're using AI as a dictionary, but a much better dictionary because they are talking to someone. They are, so they are in the middle of something and they need to know the meaning of expression. They just go and ask Pi, for example, and Pi answers in a conversational way. So it's like they are learning how to have conversations. That's something that I am really thankful for, and I see in good results with that.
There's some very good points in the chat. Yes, Pioneer, you're absolutely right. And who is saying, I think, is it Supernova who said that our brain can never be replaced, and the purpose of learning a language is actually to delay cognitive decline, and this is emphasized throughout any age. Um, this kind of neuroplasticity that develops through language learning and memory improvement. We learn how to focus more, our concentration span improves. Uh, we are capable of doing multitasking through language learning. So we cannot actually do away with the actual use of our brain just because we have a new tool here.
Something really interesting also is that now students are in command. Okay, so for example, I have one-on-one classes, and so nowadays I say, okay, what are we going to do today? I tell my students, and they are focused on what they need. For example, business. I have a business student that now is taking a finance course. So our classes are about statistics. They are in English, and he's learning about the language and all that, but I don't know anything about statistics. So we work with the materials and we ask questions to AI, and AI adapt everything that we need, So it's like now as a teacher, I feel like I do many things. I have another student. He just received a proposal to have an interview for a job, a position in another country. He is from Argentina, and he got this proposal to work in the United States. So he's also a manager already, but he was so afraid, So we used AI in this case to ask the specific questions for his specific field, And even though he was a manager and he had gone through a lot of interviewing other people, he was so scared, but we prepared that way, Specifically, we got models, answer models for him, and then he went through the interview, and the next day he was like, he called me and said, "Thank you so much for this, you know, because everything that we discussed when he was preparing was exactly what he needed. And I could have helped him this way because I got this tool, you know. So um, I don't know, for language learning or to get to the point, to get to places that you couldn't go before is something really amazing.
Can I ask the audience, because I mean this is exactly what has been burning on my mind ever since the big discussion about AI. Where do virtual worlds come in? Where's Second Life in this game? And where's the potential for us here in world to sort of get back into the minds of people out there? And I'm talking about this because of the prevalence of AI. Everybody talks about AI, AI, AI. So, and now where's the connection? How do you see that virtual worlds can be enhanced by AI?
Well, that brings up a good question, Heike, because imagine, let me take for an example my mother and my grandmother who spoke Ukrainian. And there was a dialectal variation because my grandmother grew up in a border region of the Ukraine, emigrates to Canada and then to the United States, and it becomes sort of secularized language. How does AI, I'm kind of curious about that. How does it adapt to language evolution where in everyday use a language evolves and grammar structures might evolve? And I'm just kind of curious about that because in Dodge's chat that he has on Wednesdays, we've talked about that. Does using AI standardize language use, or will it standardize language use? Okay, or does it evolve in flux with the way we use it in everyday transactions?
It's a beautiful question, Evelyn. We'll have to put this aside just one more time because we do not know how these large language models actually pick up secular language. But going back to my question, where can we bridge, or how can we bridge our being here in Second Life, doing this discussion here on a global scale? Because I know many of you are totally dispersed all over the world. How can we bridge AI with virtual worlds? Sorry to put this question back to the audience. I really need to know. And Supernova says AI could be a co-designer that would help educators create their learning environments. This is my thesis research. Oh, wonderful. How to bridge AI with virtual worlds. Yeah. Yeah, the fear is there, AVALON. She says, as long as AI doesn't get into the wrong hands. Yes, absolutely. And I missed something from Bayern. LLMs, large language models, are only as diverse as their information source. You can ask the same question of OpenAI, Google, Microsoft's AI tools, and get 3 different answers. How would you make your interaction training available to all of these tools? Again, centering on the benefits and the different tools that we have at hand. But where's the bridging? Where's the missing link? Sorry to ask that question. Again.
I could say that it's the same restrictions, the technical restrictions, accessibility restrictions. You know, not everybody has a good computer that can come, in this case, to Second Life, you know. So I think that's still the big thing. Why I cannot bring my students to Second Life because they cannot make it. I mean, they don't have the tools to come here. For example, what I do is I take a Second Life to them, okay, through Zoom. That's all the thing that I can do. So what we do is working projects, and then Instead of using Zoom and a PowerPoint presentation to present materials, you just go with your avatar and show the posters and do the things and play the games and interact with the bot through the chat, and the students just in a Zoom session because they cannot do it any other way.
If your question is technical, Heike, could I confirm if you're referring to bridging AI with virtual worlds, technically
Brainstorming,
speaking?
everybody. We might.
Well,
Oh,
I
keep
think that
brainstorming.
I think that there are NPCs, non-player characters, already connected with AI and AI-powered avatars. So we have personalized learning if we are also to consider the fact that our discussion here is on education. And also these features create a more natural interaction in the target language. And maybe another area that needs a little bit of work on is recognition of emotions. How can we make these avatars a little bit more expressive? Their facial features, for example, or their lip syncing. And maybe social intelligence is something that can develop through AI systems a little bit more. Perhaps these are some points.
Some of the great thoughts here in text chat. Pi is saying in health science, health professionals are using AI to do systematic reviews. Grace is saying partly it is used in diagnostics in health services. Then Shiloh's great question, why not AI storyteller figures? And AI tutor, Supernova says, AI tutor and TA, or teaching assistant avatars, could be created to help educators and students. And Grace mentions it does already in historical sites. Friends of hers, added real life like flames to their historical Egyptian site with the help of ChatGPT. Great thoughts.
And it is the top of the hour. I need to say just a few things before we continue because we have so much rich conversation going on. I want to thank Heike and Helena for this amazing work in virtual environments that you've shared with us today. And of course, I want to thank all of you for attending, and we'll continue discussing and asking questions. But before we head over to the deck for our happy hour, I just want to give you a reminder that this is recorded and will be placed on our Expert Series playlist. There's our YouTube channel, VWE Consortium. Also, if you've not clicked on the plant right in front of me, please click now and you'll find a link to our survey about communication with the Virtual Worlds Education Consortium. We're going to have another Expert Series event on Friday, May 24th, same time, 1 p.m. Second Life time, when we'll be joined by Bruce Wolcott. Bruce will be sharing a mini grant that he received for an XR lab. To see all of the VWEC events, you can check out our calendar, which I'm putting in local chat, along with some of our other links to social media. We want you all to join us and follow me to our happy hour deck where we can continue for those of you that would like to continue discussion. So I'm going to stand and you can follow me this way. And I'll turn the mic back over to our speakers and feel free to stay as long as you'd like to continue.
Thank you ever so much, Val. Happy to stay on.